This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
Told him to just erase. Oh wait, that's not legal. Caveat and
Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, heard on Talk Radio 790 KABC, Los Angeles. Wow! I'm from Los Angeles. Did anybody listening grow up in Los Angeles? Or are you in Los Angeles, like, right now? Probably not. It's pretty unusual to come across Los Angeles listeners. At any rate, Sun Valley is a city in Los Angeles County, and wait, wow! Again, this is too much. It is a special honor to have Rhemus Helms, the most important man of Sun Valley, California, here tonight on our show.
Mr. Gerber, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for assisting in the penetrating process of getting me $200.1 million when my genital got infringed.
We've been through this quite a few times. I declined to represent you on that case in something like 1994.
Have it your way at the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show.
What a coincidence. I was about to play that little ditty.
I haven't told a lot of people about this because I don't like to take credit for everything. I do have the largest distribution center in Fontana, 14 inches of endowment.
We can't get into that endowment thing right now.
As I was saying, it was late 1973. I had not yet made the San Fernando Valley my home. I was but a budding fluffer. Until one day I unbuttoned.
Seriously, we can't have content like this. We've got nothing but mature listeners on the radio and high school students on YouTube.
I was working on the set of a film called Score. Elvira said she liked the scene with Lynn and would prefer to do all scenes with Lynn instead of her so-called husband in the film. I said, have it your way, and just like my genital, somebody stole it. A slick advertising agency stole the very words I spoke, and I was naked on a pornographic film set with my thing. I was so vulnerable.
Who heard you say, have it your way to the female? I guess you could call her an actress?
Everybody on set that day. Everybody laughed. The choice between my endowment and that woman's strap, that woman's S on. She must have been less than...
When we spoke last week during the show, and I was trying to find out why there was a plethora of ever-growing Berber that is actually nylon, disguised as lo mein and pho Chinese restaurants dumpster, you said you wanted to talk about the earthquakes in Fontana, California.
Are you accusing me of jacking this show?
I don't want to be jerked around off topic like you did when you appeared on episode 32 of this show and accused the president. Well, I don't feel quite right about that title, but you accused the guy who Myron Alfombra pronounced Manning but spelled Eminem does the three-plug trim on. You accused the man in that big building of holding out a resin mold and tricking you into mislaying your...
Moneymaker. My moneymaker.
Your moneymaker on the resin mold, which was subsequently sold to Aiden and Elvira for $5 million without your consent.
That is correct. And that fateful incident at the Donatella was the same day you were sworn in as a California attorney. I can't help that coincidence.
Was it a coincidence?
My psychic thinks not. You're a rooster, are you not? And November 23rd, 1993 is rooster. The rooster corresponds to the tiger. I am a tiger.
Wait a minute. You were born in 1950?
I most certainly was not.
The next year of the tiger is 1962. I thought you were older, like being on a set like Score in 1973 and all.
I most certainly was not 11 or 12 on that set. That was a legitimate blue movie, Score. A very famous director that you should know was on that set, Radley Metzger.
I believe Sly Stone was in the Broadway rendition of that film.
November 23rd, 1993. Venus was in Scorpio at 17 degrees, 27 minutes.
There's no significance in that.
Jupiter was in Scorpio at 2 degrees, 38 minutes. Now that's what I mean.
Oh, of course. That explains everything. I do, however, wonder if in episode 1 of this show, if I didn't bring up that phone call you made to my office asking for representation, maybe you would have forgotten about me after I didn't take your case 24 or so years ago.
Mr. Gerber, November 23rd, 1993. I never forgot about you.
Well, now that we've rekindled our never friendship, perhaps you could tell us about those earthquakes. I recall you said you had started a charity for the exploration of sexual and non-sexually motivated earth movements.
Before we get there, I've got a question for you.
I hope it's a good one.
Are you a Coke or Pepsi man? In other words, do you prefer Pepsi to Coke?
No way, man! Did I say all I want is a Pepsi?
That's what I thought. I have another question.
It better be more earth-shattering.
Tell me, Mr. Gerber, have you generally been satisfied with the guests I've been supplying for this show?
How can you ask a question like that? Have you heard the shows? Talk into the microphone, Rhemus Helms, and tell me.
I've heard each and every episode. I usually replay the YouTube live stream when I'm autographing pictures of my, well, you know what I'm referring to.
Just the thought of that is truly disgusting.
You haven't answered my question. Are you generally satisfied with the guests I've furnished?
I don't even know where to start.
What did you think of Nakuzi, the world's most famous Nuru nurse? Your opinion is most important to me.
I'm thankful she sent episode 54 into a near viral state, but my God, is she weird. And the neuro massage clinic she runs in all the cities nobody has heard of, and underneath all the freeway underpasses?
Correction. I believe she only operates in one tent city. Naturally, that clinic is in a tent. It might be a see-through, possibly. I don't know.
What's with the thing where she speaks in broken English so her daughter, your daughter too, doesn't get bored to death like we covered on episode 17, which I guess the whole thing where she dies, I guess that happens every now and then where she dies?
Rather think speaking in broken English is one of the great sacrifices Nakuzi has made for Anita. Other than telling her high school boyfriend Anita died because Anita didn't want to do the whole breakup call thing.
I'm sensing you have a lot of admiration for Nakuzi.
Mm-hmm. Do I ever? It wasn't just like I went into the Nuru massage clinic one day to pay a gas bill. And I was sorry about what we did in her office, in the chair, which is now in the Smithsonian.
I guess since both of you have been in the sex business, maybe you understand each other.
And she's related to Yoko Ono. Did you know that?
She made that claim.
If you do an internet search for Yoko Ono, pictures of Nakuzi show up as related searches.
Now, I may not be the biggest fan of Nakuzi's illegal practices and all, but I do have to say it's quite an insult to claim she has a resemblance to Yoko Ono. Nazuki is a very attractive Japanese lady in her late 40s.
Even without all the oil on her skin, I could so take a bite off her. Well, funny they don't do that censor noise. Oh, or pull on her from behind.
They never quite got those censor sounds right on this show. Okay, you're listening to Karl Gerber, Workplace Lawyer Show. We have Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, in studio tonight in Culver City. He supplied me with all of the utterly weird guests on the show, with the exception of the few Fred Lyons has supplied. I don't know if he's going to talk about these earthquakes or not. I hope so. If you're looking for a job in the legal field right now, we actually are hiring at the Sherman Oaks office for paralegals and legal secretaries. Call us at 877-525-0700. Once again, 877-525-0700 for a real workplace lawyer. We'll be back in a minute on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Told him to just erase. Oh wait, that's not legal.
Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We have live in studio Rhemus Helms, the most important man of Sun Valley. You know what's weird about this? He is like the most famous person in California, we've been told, since Jerry Brown isn't the governor anymore. And the guy is nervous to be on the show. He was like, you didn't hear him. So what's the deal, Rhemus?
I wanted to break the news here. A lot of people and creatures like the Sandwich Man, people and creatures I know, are listening. Well, me and Nazuki, we've been dating.
Oh, boy, this is very exciting. Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, California, has just disclosed he's dating Nazuki, the most famous neuro nurse in the world. I wonder how this makes their adult child, Anita Orca Helms, feel. I'm excited.
Mr. Gerber, you wouldn't believe the candles she's been producing. I had to put a halt to them because Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M, offered to purchase them for $100 million.
I definitely don't think you should let Anita's candles get into the hands of Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M. I'm sure he'd put them into somebody else's hands who are even smaller. Something diabolical would be done with those candles whose smells replicate the human sexual experience.
That incompetent hairdresser and manufacturer of ever-growing Berber toupees, they're actually nylon, and the chief proponent of the one sanitary napkin per menstrual cycle career, thought he'd pull a fast one on my Anita and get her to sell the formula. Do you know what Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting but spelled like those candles, wanted to do with Anita's candle?
I'm pretty sure he had some plan to give them to immigrants so they wouldn't have children, or some totally demeaning thing as if he comes from the chosen race.
Well, he is one of the chosen people. But then again, so are you.
Not to change the subject, but too, I think our listeners are dying to know where you and Nazuki go on dates and what it is you do on dates.
Thank you for asking. We don't talk the first half hour.
Oh, of course. She oils up, and you oil her before you get down the conversation.
Mr. Gerber, how could you? We usually start out by writing each other fortune cookie sayings for the first hour of the date.
Oh, how romantic. They always said a bosom in your hand is better than your hand somewhere else.
Yes, and I think I've heard that somewhere before.
I just made it up.
If I married Nazuki, would that make me bigger than Jesus?
Don't even go there. That could be your downfall.
Marrying Nazuki, we'd still have an open relationship with whatever's in my bed.
No, that isn't what I meant. It was the comment about bigger than...
I'm bigger than John Holmes ever was.
I can't weigh in on that.
I'd be related to John Lennon if I married Nazuki.
Well, first of all, Yoko Ono was John Lennon's wife. They weren't related. And what exactly is the familial relationship between Nazuki and Yoko Ono?
They come up as related. Search on the internet. I feel like I'm repeating myself from before.
We've got to move on to labor law, or at least the Helms Foundation's research on sexual and non-sexual eruptions.
We will ram into labor law and gently stroke into earthquakes.
That sounds weird.
You want to know what weird is?
I'm sure you could go on for some time.
Due to a series of small earthquakes with a median magnitude of 0.98 in the vicinity of south of Slover, slightly south of Philadelphia, within 1,000 feet of the industrial zone where I have a worldwide warehouse. Oh, yes, right around Banana Avenue, and not far from the Fontana Gateway, where I have a business office. Due to these minor seismic disturbances, there have been mass layoffs.
How many layoffs are we talking about?
Maybe 3 or 4.
3 or 4 large layoffs at different companies?
Knowledge man over at my cosplay ostrich ranch informed me of 3 or 4 total layoffs. The 4th might just be seasonal, of course.
I'm not finding the existence of 3 or 4 layoffs over a 15 square mile area to be a proliferation of layoffs.
Well, I am.
Also, what's the big idea about the less than 1.0 magnitude earthquakes?
Mr. Gerber, have you heard of building tension?
Oh, I guess between characters, like in a drama.
Prior to spasm. That's what I'm referring to.
Must we go there?
Considerable things have been happening at the Rhemus Helms Worldwide Distribution Center. Actually, I'm concerned.
Does this involve labor laws?
It might.
Then we definitely better talk about it. This is supposed to be a show about labor law.
It is? I thought this was the Rhemus Helms infomercial.
Does this program come across that way?
If you did what you were supposed to do and talk about your sponsor for 5 minutes every show and do the 10 60-second plugs I'm paying for, that would...
This program is made possible by the generous funding of the Helms Foundation's $5 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
Correction. $5.14 billion in funding now.
Oh, I'm glad the funding level has increased.
Yeah, it might not be long. We're probably going to donate the extra $140 million to the children immigrants being detained at the United States southern border.
Oh, how noble. So what is this labor law problem with the Rhemus Helms Worldwide Distribution Center in Fontana that is something like 1 mile long and some hundreds of feet wide in 2 spheres at the bottom?
The problem is not really a problem because it's fantastic for business.
Great. Rhemus Helms Enterprises could surpass Google's market valuation in no time at all.
As you know, there's one sex toy in my worldwide distribution center for every adult living on Earth.
I was not aware of that mind-blowing fact.
Given all the press on this show, we've added a Nazuki doll, even a Cindy D doll.
Oh, hopefully those dolls have been authorized.
Nazuki's, yes. Dumas was involved in that deal. Cindy D's, can you talk to her about that?
I most certainly will not.
This is the issue. The bedroom toys have been multiplying.
You've got to cut production? Maybe do a layoff given the impending economic slowdown we might get in 2020?
They're procreating.
Rhemus Helms, did you pass for your warehouse one of those new controversial laws like they have in Georgia and Missouri?
How could you legislate the acts of bedroom toys that are completely unaided by people? Laws are for people, Mr. Gerber.
Hey, let's get this right. These inanimate objects are procreating in your phallic-shaped worldwide distribution center near a zone of 1,000 minor earthquakes in the last 2.5 years?
They call it Swarmageddon.
We're talking about an insect problem, right?
Swarmageddon. Herein references the earthquakes.
Oh, first of all, I'd like to know what causes a swarmageddon. I heard there was one in Fillmore a few years back.
Fluid moving around underground. That's what causes Swarmageddon.
Fluid. Multiplying bedroom toys. One bedroom toy for each adult resident on Earth. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do see your point.
Mr. Chang of the Helms Foundation has conducted a series of tests. The fluids from the warehouse travel underground. They create an abundance of groundwater. Mr. Chang has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the magna. We have cosplay bedroom toy robots too, you know. Heats up groundwater.
Mr. Helms, you mean to say that your products are the cause of these seismic disturbances, which have caused 3 or 4 layoffs in the area?
Well, one person leaves the company, another leaves. The manager has to go, and then they lay off the whole department.
Over the minor seismic disturbances?
Mr. Gerber, if you can believe this, and maybe you can't, would you believe there are some people who don't want to work in businesses that sit on top of fluids produced by bedroom toys that thereby create excess groundwater that reacts with the magna? Not just the cosplay sex toys, but the magna, and poof, that's not nice. Voila, there's a reaction, and the ground shakes. Or is all that procreation of the adult robot toys causing the ground to shake? Or might it just be me and Nazuki doing what we do in the warehouse, Anna, after we write each other fortune cookies for an hour? Who knows?
Some people who just heard that would say, I don't even know where to start.
But not you.
Nah, this all seems perfectly logical to me.
What part?
Oh, the part about employees quitting their jobs because there's a possibility of there being excess fluids running into groundwater underneath their places of employment on account of whatever goes on in your completely perverted worldwide distribution center.
And do you really think that bothers somebody? Anybody? A single person?
We have got to take a break, a time out here on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is the looniest thing I've heard, but it's Rhemus Helms in the studio tonight.
Told him to just erase. Oh wait, that's not
Talk
legal.
Radio 790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I don't wear dentures, but my teeth are falling out having to hear this utterly ludicrous thing from Rhemus Helms about his sex doll robots in his Fontana warehouse procreating and creating fluids underground that are causing seismic disturbances. They're definitely, unequivocally, certainly, somebody out there must loathe the thought of those fluids mixing into the groundwaters underneath their place of employment and maybe even watering. Better yet, fertilizing the marigolds in front of their place of business.
Not the marigolds. I happen to know the fluids I'm talking about fertilizes something.
We really don't need to know.
Mr. Gerber.
Yes?
The bedroom toys that are procreating are robots.
Is there going to be some takeover of the Fontana, California by oversexed toy-like robots?
I never thought about that.
With all the business the Employment Lawyers Group does in the Ontario area and on our way to Riverside, our office there, I have some concerns.
You do?
On the other hand, could an employee of a nearby business sue if one of your robots came onto their premises and engaged in a sexual assault?
I would certainly hope you would not take such a case on the basis of a conflict of interest.
Under no circumstances would I ever sue the Helms Foundation, but the issue of procreating robots who are of the nature of your robots, I'm concerned.
Maybe we could enlist the help of somebody like P.A.J. Buttcrack III to shrink the robots down. That might keep them out of trouble until they're shipped to the far corners of the earth. Assur in the near Far East, Pune in India, the farms of Tulare County.
Not to change the subject, but how concerned are you with Myron Alfombra, pronounced matting, but spelled M&M's, infiltration of ever-growing nylon that he passes off as lo mein at Pho Chinese restaurant in Gardenia in a diabolical plot to make the stomachs pop of the largely Democrat diners of the establishment?
It is a matter of great concern to the Helms Foundation. Adulterated food is sort of like adultery without your spouse's consent.
Would you say that adultery is an expensive hobby?
Without a doubt. A middle-class family would need a budget category for that on their monthly budget.
But as to the ever-growing nylon lo mein, Rhemus Helms, do you have a comment?
Ever-growing nylon lo mein, it just grows and grows and grows. Mr. Gerber, do you know what else grows and grows and grows all night into the wee hours of the night?
I guess marijuana being grown with all those lights. I'm not too sure what else grows in the night.
Mr. Gerber, you should drop by the vicinity of my bed one night. You could start at the east end on the far corner of the Cosplay Ostrich Ranch, or maybe the other end at the end of my gay creek.
Well, we've heard Tom Wolfe describe your bed as one of the greatest American cities.
If the lo mein grows and the robots grow, well, I've got it.
Oh, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
One moment, Mr. Gerber. Let me ask my psychic. You're listening to the show on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube. No, not the channel called Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer. That only has a few episodes. The rest of them are on a channel just with his name. All right. Then what's he thinking? Yes, he is. Mr. Gerber. Yeah, we're on the same page, man.
What a dreadful thought. Yuck!
Mr. Gerber, we both know the answer to the world's problems. The only way to take on the evil Myron Alfombra, pronounced matting but spelled M&M, and his ever-growing Berber toupees, that are actually nylon, that he has now turned into ever-growing lo mein, is to fight the war with an army of procreating robotic sex dolls.
Where exactly would this war be fought?
Imagine the Cindy D doll obliterating an entire factory of ever-growing Berber. There's actually nylon that will grow hundreds of feet in a 24-hour period if it's not tampooned 16 times a day with that vacuum-like trimming device.
Oh, I can see it now. The Cindy D doll gains entry to the factory of the evil Myron Alfombra, pronounced Etiol, with her sexy voice. She then turns into Cindy D's alter ego, Mistress Luboff, and whips every strand of ever-growing Berber that is actually nylon with a whip that contains a special dissolving agent.
I could get the old film crew together for a serious pop shot when she hits those strands of nylon.
Why wouldn't you use your educational film crew?
Those crews never captured 6 to 30 spontaneous human reactions at once. Do you have any idea how hard it is to film something like that?
We're in trouble.
No. Myron Alfombra, pronounced matting but spelled M&M, is...
If we're going to get into this sort of warfare, I'd like to know more about these robots. Can I see a picture? Not a picture of those parts. Oh, okay. The face. It looks so humid. Whose face is that?
Cindy D's. Mr. Gerber. Oh, you need a sex work or prescription goggles, man.
Well, that doesn't look anything like Cindy D. She has much larger lips and a much straighter jawline.
Oh, let me see that picture again. That's definitely the Cindy D bedroom toy doll. We've sold 20 million units this month.
Why? Hasn't anyone ever seen Cindy D? I mean, she's been on the show a bunch of times.
We put the Cindy D doll together based upon everybody's, well, not everybody's. She's done over 169,000 calls. Well, based upon a lot of people's description of her.
Well, I thought this was supposed to be a doll that looked like her.
The scientists at the Helms Corporation put together a composite based upon 10,000 descriptions she gave during her phone sex calls.
How much money was put into that exercise?
10,000 calls to Cindy D at $9.99 a minute. A lot of scientists couldn't last long, you know. Others couldn't get off the line. We spent somewhere around $1.4 million on the call.
Waste of money.
The scientists' salaries, the database, the statisticians.
Well, do you have a figure on what was spent?
$140 million for design and research.
Oh, what an extravagant waste of money.
Mr. Gerber, we've sold 100 million units.
What has this world come to?
Ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon and armies of sex dolls to destroy it.
I can't reconcile this nonsense.
Look, these millennial types aren't interested in porn so much. They want games, robots. They're too lazy to find real partners. $6,000 is nothing to them. That is, after they pay off their $500,000 student loans for their online university.
How many much dough have you been collecting selling these Cindy D robotic robot dolls?
Now, that's proprietary, but on account of you being my lawyer, I'll tell you.
I'm not your lawyer and have never been. I've let the Helms Foundation sponsor this show, though.
100 million times 6,000. You do the math.
Well, has Cindy D received any of this money?
Do you think she'd still be working at Underground Operators if she did?
Cindy D has done a lot to boost the ratings of this show. I can't have you making 600 billion in sales or whatever absurd figure you claim, and you're not paying her.
You yourself said it doesn't look like her.
Well, from what I can tell, it doesn't.
And do you think her organs are correct?
Oh, well, presumably you went off all those descriptions from the 10,000 calls to her phone sex company.
So, is it Cindy D? Or is it brum-bum-bum fantasy?
If you call it Cindy D, you are using her name and likeness. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I really am a workplace lawyer, and I can really be reached during the week for new client calls at 877-525-0700. I really deal in sexual harassment cases a lot and represent women despite the content of this episode, 877-525-0700. I also will sue porno companies. I did that once for someone with a serious breach of contract, and we won. 877-525-0700. So, we've got Rhemus Helms here, and he's provided me with most of the guests for the show, except for Fred Lyons. We'll be back in just a minute, and I gotta figure out what's going on, because the Cindy D has been infringed by Rhemus Helms. That doesn't make sense.
Told him to just erase Oh, wait, that's not legal.
All right, this is Talk Radio
okay.
790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I am Karl Gerber. I really am live in studio with Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley. He's just told us that he actually created a robotic sex toy doll that he infringed Cindy D, the most famous landline phone sex operator I know. She's been on the show a bunch of times. I'm not happy about this.
Why do you think Delicious Divine rehired her at Underground Operators?
Because something like half of the operation's revenues came from Cindy D's calls. They're friends, the two of them now. They did a muscular dystrophy benefit in Delicious Divine's bed and brought in like $169,000 for the charity.
I could not resist. I had the candy striper put the number on auto dial. It took 3 hours to get into that two-girl show. Those are two hot operators.
Well, I'm not sure how Delicious Divine rates on the heat meter. I hear her husband feeds her plentiful quantities of bonbons all day, presumably even when she's working.
I can fancy that image. Delicious Divine reclining in her bed in lingerie, curlers in her hair, fanning herself with one hand and pleasuring with the other while her husband feeds her bonbons. Mr. Gerber, do you know if she's working right now? I'd like to call her on the next break.
This is disastrous.
Everything our scientists learned was while Cindy D was working. Her contract with Underground Operators states whatever performances she does while working are the property of Underground Operators now that she's an employee. Cindy D has relinquished all rights in those performances.
Rhemus Helms, you of all people should be very sympathetic to Cindy D's plight. You have not only infringed descriptions of her genital, but her entire body. As I understand things, your groundbreaking penile infringement lawsuit only involved your genital.
Oh, no, Father. Not that risky Odinsky. Father, forgive me for my sins. I've broken the laws of genital infringement. Help me avoid from sinning again. Cindy D is a beautiful child of yours. Lord, I know I'm a sinner. Let me redeem myself. More donations to the frail and needy children in Africa. May I redeem myself in the fight against the evil Myron Alfombra, pronounced Madding but spelled M&M.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Oh, Mr. Gerber, I'm saved. I will repay Cindy D. I will.
I feel this whole thing is sacrilegious. There are not any laws on genital infringement.
Mr. Gerber, I wrote the book on that law.
Where could I find this book?
I carry it with me at all times, dear to my heart.
Rhemus, why are you unbuttoning your pants? We really can't have you doing something like that on live air.
Mr. Gerber, I keep the law in my pants.
Oh, don't put that book on the kids' table.
I shall read the book.
You shall not.
You forgot the sponsorship thing.
Okay. This shot made possible by a generous grant from the Helms Foundation's $5 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment. Now that I got that over, can I see that so-called Cindy D face again on the robot?
Here's a picture. She works at my cosplay ostrich ranch, too. I'm allowed to use the name and likeness of Mistress Luboff. Maybe a stretch action figure?
In real life, Cindy D has blonde hair and a slightly angelic face. I think she's probably got German or Swedish ancestors. Your so-called robot looks like a blonde Asian.
Mr. Gerber, she's described herself to quite a few men as having a certain Asian dimension.
Wait. The call screener has someone on the line who is very angry. Oh, my God! It's Cindy D! How in the world did it slip by her? 100 million of these robots have been sold! Oh, she's pretty involved in work, and I guess her genius daughter's education. Yeah, I hadn't heard about the dolls either, actually.
I feel we need a big timeout. It's like when the schoolgirl cosplay actress on the ranch has a timeout on the ladder-back chair. She just sits cross-legged on the straw seat.
Cindy D is pretty aggravated right now. She's trying to come over here as Mistress Luboff.
Oh, is she? Rhemus Helms has been a bad boy.
Oh, none of this has anything to do with employment law.
But it does. An employee's name and likeness was used, which she consented to allow.
Well, is Underground Operators making any money off this? They were the employer.
Mr. Gerber, all the money from the Cindy D doll, that apparently doesn't look like her and probably doesn't resemble her organs, is being donated to Doctors Without Borders to provide life-saving surgeries to children living in conflict zones.
Oh, I think Cindy D just heard that, and she's listening to the show. Let's see if that changes anything. She's asking if there's a record of $600 billion being donated to that charity.
Mr. Gerber, how much do you think it costs to produce a lifelike robot that can perform 1,114 sex acts?
I haven't the faintest idea. I can't say this has come up in a case where I've been representing an employee.
Well, their profit margin on this robot is less than 1/10 of 1%.
Well, haven't you still made $600 million, though?
No, something like that. But there still was the research cost, which is not being recouped.
You can't just go out and make a sex robot and then call it a Cindy D model without her consent.
Are you sure?
Well, this would be a case of first impression. The court would be faced with the task of determining just how invasive this product is.
She's the most famous English-speaking landline telephone sex operator.
True. That means she has a diminished expectation of privacy.
Do you think the Helms Corporation is the only place that's made a knockoff?
You might find this strange, but I don't get the Aiden and Elvira catalogs over at my Studio City Ranch.
Yeah, nor do I. Mr. Gerber, do you have any idea how many sleepless nights I spent after I found out they infringed my genital? And it didn't even look anything like mine.
Oh, I can't even believe this is happening. Oh, wait. Cindy D's talking to me on the other line. I'm getting a little confused. Cindy D, we're almost out of time tonight. Even if you could get here from Underground Operators in Pasadena in a few minutes, we wouldn't have time. No. Oh, seriously, it's got to be a 45-minute drive. You're coming to my office tomorrow? You don't know where I live, do you? No. Don't confront Rhemus Helms before I've had time to investigate this matter. Rhemus Helms, is it possible Cindy D, Mistress Luboff can take the week off from your cosplay ostrich ranch?
Thursday is 4th of July. How are we supposed to have an American/Soviet dialogue if she's not there? What about Vargine? She just loves the cherry pie Chef Boyardee makes.
My kids call me D, and my wife's mother's name was Boyer.
Chef Boyardee, as in the canned food. He's a cosplay actor.
Oh, wait. Cindy D is really upset. No, Cindy D, it might not be good for your perfect facial structure to cringe like that. You're an independent contractor and friend of Rhemus Helms. Yes, he claims you're an employee. I thought you were. I'm sure I can work this out.
If anybody can work this out, it's Mr. Gerber. He got me $200.1 million when nobody else would take it.
I did not.
You certainly...
Listeners, next Sunday at 7 p.m., Cindy D, the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator, will once again grace the studio. She will air her grievances, in-ray the infringement of her persona in the bedroom robot the Helms Corporation made, which doesn't look like her. Cindy D, I have no idea if the internal organs are representative of yours. How would I know? I have neither examined the robot or you. No, I won't. Listen to her. She's very agitated. I hope she can wait until next Sunday.
Am I going to be here?
Rhemus Helms, I suggest you spend the rest of the week at one of Nazuki's more obscure neuro clinics. Maybe one in Yanglangang, mini pollution problem, water only from river, mini pollution plan in criminal, oh yeah.
I'll ask Nazuki. She was thinking of closing the Nuru clinic most of the boat operates on is sunk anyway.
Next week, Cindy D, 7 to 8 p.m. on Sunday.
Sexual fireworks and actual dynamite. Maybe we'll try it on the cosplay ostrich.
No more Rhemus Helms. Next week, Cindy D on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. I hope you're live streaming on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube or listening online wherever this fine program can be heard. So, anyways, I hope you have a great short week at work, and if you run into some problems at work, you know where to call. 877-525-0700 for an employment lawyer. 877-525-0700 for an employment lawyer. See you guys next week, and Cindy D will be here live in studio.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.